I haven't played any golf.
Yeah, they're getting tired. Good, I don't have it.
Good evening. Welcome to the Vineland Board of Education monthly July meeting, July 10th, 2019. Roll call, please, Mr. Merkley.
Mr. Costa.
Here.
Mr. Fiocchi. Here. Mr. Holmes.
Here.
Mr. Medio.
Here.
Mr. Sobrana.
Present.
Mr. Silva.
Here.
Ms. Spinelli. Mr. Ulrich.
Present.
Mr. English.
Here.
We have a quorum.
In compliance with the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law, commonly referred to as the Sunshine Law, the Vineland Board of Education has caused notice and posting of this meeting to be sent to the following, announcing the time and place thereof, agenda, etc. The Daily Journal, SNJ Today, the Press of Atlantic City, Nuestra Comunidad, Visto Bueno, the Clerk for the City of Vineland, and the Administrative Office Public Bulletin Board. At this time, please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Merkley, do we have a resolution for executive session this evening?
Yes, we do. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the City of Vineland School District will convene into executive session on Wednesday, July 10th, 2019 for the following reasons as outlined in NJSA 10:4-12 for the topics of discussion of the UAW collective bargaining agreement, a pending litigation matter, and any other matters falling within the attorney-client privilege to the extent that the confidentiality is required in order for the attorney to exercise his ethical duties as lawyer.
Alrighty, we will be resuming executive session after we finished 5B this evening. At this time, Mr. Fry will be sitting in for Dr. Gruccio this evening. Do we have special presentations?
Yes, sir. At this time, we have 3 special presentations. First, Mr. Scott English, Board Education President, will unveil portraits of 2 most recent former board presidents.
Okay, tonight we have Mr. Chris Jennings with us, who was board president 2 years ago, and we have Mr. Jeff Borley with us this evening, who was board president last year. It is customary as each board member, or as each board president no longer fills that seat, we honor them with a portrait that gets hung. I call it the Ring of Honor, but I don't know if it's the Ring of Honor. It's more like the the bullseye. But tonight we will be unveiling them because it hasn't been done in the past 2 years. So at this time, if the 2 of you would rise and meet me over at the easel, that would be great. Put one of you on each side. This time, if you'd rather each one grab a side, pull her down. Okay, perfecto. As I said, Mr. Jennings was board president 2 years ago, and Mr. Borley last year. We picked the right side, so that was good karma. If you have anything to say, the podium's right here. Absolutely.
Good evening, everyone. Was there any bets on that? Did anybody win? I really enjoyed my time on the board. I enjoyed everybody I served with. Obviously, Jeff and I have a great relationship, like everyone else on the board, and this is truly an honor, and I just look forward to seeing my picture. Just kidding. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Board of Education members, thank you very much. It truly was an honor to serve this district, not only as a board member, but as the president and vice president. I am truly humbled to be able to have my picture hang on that wall with so many other the great board members that we've had. So again, thank you very much, and this definitely was a pleasure. So, thank you.
And again, on behalf of my colleagues that sit with me on the board, I just want to congratulate you and thank you for your service, because as we all know, it is a tough job, man, and last time we checked, that paycheck never changes. But the desire to serve the students is what's there, so thanks again for your service, and good luck in the election. Thank you.
For our second presentation, Dr. Joseph Rossi, Executive Director of Personnel, will recognize staff with perfect attendance.
Thank you, Mr. Fry and board members. Many times this space is occupied by people with concerns or maybe not so positive messages for the board and the community. We've gone through another year of tremendous budget constraint and cutting and transferring and things that are mostly perceived as negative. Savings is found in a few places, and one of those places is extreme dedication by staff who come in every day and do the job and serve our children, which is why everyone does draw a paycheck in the Vineland Board of Education employment. And we're very pleased to honor these people every year and appreciate your recognition of them as well. This year we had 137 people who did not take a sick day. We had 45 people who took one sick day. And that is quite a tribute to them, maybe a little bit of luck, but a lot of dedication. The folks I have of that number that have attended here, that are here tonight, I have certificates and I will call them up. Brian Anthony. Jane Bassetti. See, it doesn't work for me. Ish Bermudez. Anna Blizzard. George Cardona. Val Denise Chinez. Denise Diorio. Hank Ehrlich. Thank you, sir. Paul Farinaccio. I want to mention Robert Pataki is not here tonight, but the trio of Cardona, Farinaccio, and Pataki are on this list every year, and that's tremendous credit to the Facilities Management Administration. Mr. Nathan Fry. Jennifer Godfrey. Salazar Gonzalez. Deborah Gowdy. Joyce Gunther Nolan. Janet Headley. Tanya Kidd. Neftali Lopez. Carolyn Matthews. Angela McLaughlin. Daisy Mercado. Up there in the balcony, Gia Missouri. Gia's waving. Linda Maletta. Amanda Nolan Aliano. Hemlada Puri. Deborah Quinn. Wilfredo Rodriguez. Eric Roof. James Singleton. Teresa Stripmatter. Moises Torres. Melissa Wolf. And Joe Rossi. Thank you. Okay. Thank you all very much once again. Miss Marco is going to take a picture somehow, okay? Just squeeze it. So some on the stage and some back front. You are in the picture. Also a late entry, Billy Riggins is here. No problem.
Just moved, so.
I saw your name. There you go.
For our last presentation tonight, Mr. Elliot DeShields and Miss Carmen Figueroa, VHS Senior Class Advisors, will present the 2019-2020 Senior Class Trip Proposal.
Good evening, everyone. To the members of the Board of Education, we're coming this evening to seek permission for a senior class trip.
Excuse me one second, Elliot. We're going to move that out of the way there.
Sure.
We can't see you.
No problem. That's been Okay, we'll try this again. We come this evening seeking permission for a senior class trip for the class of 2020 to Walt Disney World, Orlando, Florida. Specifically, we would like the seniors to go to Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, and Animal Kingdom. We believe this would be beneficial for the senior class educationally, as well as helping to increase the class sense of unity and morale while celebrating their achievement soon to come. The dates of the trip would be from March 25th through March 28th. That's 3 nights, 4 days. It would be a Wednesday, Thursday, and half Friday, because Friday would be a legal attendance day. Also, the students will have plenty of opportunities for fundraising. We also would like to asking for your approval, again, for the students to be excused for those 2.5 school days that they will miss due to the trip. I have gone on 2 prior. There's been 3 that we've taken successfully. I've gone on 2 prior myself, and it's definitely a worthwhile trip for the students for sure. They have a great time. It's a great experience for them. It was a great experience for me too. Being down at Walt Disney it's a very educational trip, and like I said, the students have an extraordinary time. The total cost for the trip, again, this agenda was sent to you by email, like a March, is $1,299. And that's the total cost, again, for the trip. But again, the students are given ample opportunities to fundraise and raise money for the trip. The entire student body voted on the trip. We voted on different venues to where we wanted to plan a senior class trip today, and they all chose, of course, Walt Disney. I know in past you required for a nurse to go and everything like that. So again, we're asking again for permission for this trip and everything that entails. Questions?
Sounds like a great trip. I mean, you guys do a great job every year, so I always ask every year if I could come, but and chaperone, but I never get that invite.
Yes, sir. I would love. We would have chaperones would be paid for. We would have to have 20 students per each chaperone that goes on the trip. Okay, so they would pay for a chaperone for every 20 students. And like I said, we've had no problem with this in the past. Like I said, I've been on 2 successful ones myself.
How many kids do you expect usually?
Depends on the years again. I've been there. I've been on a trip where there's been 50. There's been a trip that close to 100 students. So depends on the years like that. But again, it's very. It's definitely a worthwhile trip, and sometimes I take this for granted. This is sometimes the only chance that kids will ever go to Walt Disney World, and you know, they just try to make a special effort to get there this year, their senior year. So again, I think it's very worthwhile for sure.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments? Seeing none, have a great trip. Good luck.
Very much.
Thank you. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions on the HIB report? Seeing none, at this time we are going to resume into executive session, and we'll be back in a little bit.
what, your third plate of food? For your fourth plate of food?
All right, for the record, we are back in session 6:48. At this time, do I have a motion for the approval of minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Costa.
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi. Yes. Mr. Holmes.
Yes.
Mr. Medio.
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana.
Yes.
Mr. Silva.
Yes.
Mr. Ulrich.
Yes, except for June 25th, special meeting, abstain.
Mr. English.
Yes. At this time, do we have any public comment from our board solicitor? None this evening. At this time, do we have any committee reports? Seeing none, just under committee reports, I just want to let the board know we had some discussion. We are starting 2 ad hoc committees. We're going to have an ad hoc committee for broadcasting, and Mr. Sabrana will be chairing that, Mr. Silva will be sitting on that, and Mr. Medio. And we're also looking to have an ad hoc committee for school security/safety, and Mr. Aldridge will be chairing that, and Mr. Fiocchi and Mr. Silva will be sitting on that as well. So future dates and things will be coming out, but that's just some of the things that we will be adding in the ad hoc capacity. Okay. At this time, do we have any public comment on agenda items? Agenda items only.
I do have public comment, but everyone that has filled out a form, there's nothing on the agenda regarding the specific item, so I would ask that they wait and make their public comment at the end.
Okay. All righty, at this time, Mr. Fry, do we have your motions and resolutions this evening?
Yes. First, I would like to recommend for discussion under Personnel, item 1.1, retirements, resignations, terminations, leave of absence, employment and transfers, substitutes, extracurricular activities, extracurricular summer activities.
Any questions or comments? Just have one quick comment concerning the personnel. I just want to, Dr. Rossi, you and your staff, I know this is that crazy time of year, and with that $14 million shortfall, I know you've been burning that midnight oil. On behalf of the board, I just want to thank you and your staff, because I know placing these people in the positions are tough. Some of them don't want to go there, and when we start transferring people, it does get a little bit sticky. But I try and tell everyone to keep in mind that everyone in the district, they're employees of the Vineland Public School District, not a particular building. And I just wanted to say thanks for the hard work over the last 2 months. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Wait.
We're going to go through them all? Go through them all? Go each one? Okay.
All the way to 1.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Next, I'd like to recommend for discussion under Personnel, item 1.2, approval regarding the following contracts. Executive County Superintendent approval has been obtained for contracts A, B, and F. For the term of 1 year commencing July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020, Mr. Nathan Fry, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction, Mr. Gene Merkley, School Business Administrator, Board Secretary, Mr. Scott Mustarell, Assistant Business Administrator, Assistant Board Secretary, Dr. Joseph Rossi, Executive Director of Personnel, Mrs. Teresa Godlewski, Director of Special Education, and for a term of July 1st, 2019 to August 31st, 2019, Mr. John Frangipani, Assistant Superintendent for Administration.
Any questions or comments?
Next, I would like to recommend for discussion under Personnel, item 1.3, approval regarding the 2019-2022 Collective Bargaining Unit Agreement with United Auto Workers 2327, which contains these salary increases: 2019-2020, 2.7%, 2020-2021, 2.8%, 2021-2022, 2.9%.
Questions or comments? Just a quick comment, Mr. Holmes, thank you for stepping in and spearheading that negotiation process on behalf of the board.
Next, I'd like to recommend for discussion under Personnel, item 1.4, approval regarding substitute pay rates effective July 11th, 2019. School bus drivers from $17 to $18 per hour. School bus aides from $10 an hour to $12 per hour. Teachers from $80 or $90 an hour to $100 per day. Paraprofessionals from $70 to $80 per day. Paraprofessionals from $40 to $50 per half day.
Any questions or comments?
Just one question for Mr. Murphy. If we find that we're not meeting the subs that we need, is there going to be a consideration to reevaluate that hourly rate at that point again?
Well, we did do a survey countywide of what the rates were, and they came back at what you see here. So we know we're not below anybody now. So if we had fill rates, yes, I guess we could evaluate that, but that would be, we'd probably be several months into the school year before we would even know that. But yeah, we could reevaluate that.
And the reason I ask is that, you know, we are having difficulty with fill rates, so being the biggest fish in the pond, I think that we should offer the most money to entice school bus drivers and aides and stuff to come to Vineland Public Schools, where it is a good working environment, and that, you know, we'll pay them for what they're worth. That's the only reason I ask.
Any more questions or comments?
At this time, I would like to recommend for approval personnel items 1.1 to 1.4.
Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta.
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi. Yes. Mr. Holmes.
Yes.
Mr. Medio.
Yes.
Mr. Sobrana.
Yes.
Mr. Silva.
Yes.
Mr. Ulrich.
I'm going to go yes on everything except for abstain on 1.3 UAW collective bargaining agreement.
So noted. Mr. English.
Yes to all, abstain 1.3, approval of the UAW contracts.
So noted. They pass.
Next, I'd like to recommend for discussion under Procedures and Operations, item 2.1, approval of trips and softball spring training 2020.
Any questions or comments?
Next, I would like to recommend for discussion under Procedures and Operations, item 2.2, approval regarding the second reading of the following bylaws, policies, and regulations. Policy 2431.3, practice and preseason heat acclimation for school-sponsored interscholastic athletics and extracurricular activities. Regulation 1642, earned sick leave law. Policy 7435, alcoholic beverages on school premises. And Policy 5337, service animals.
Any questions or comments?
Next, I'd like to recommend for discussion under Procedures and Operations, item 2.3, approval authorizing the board secretary to enter into an affiliation agreement for the 2019-2020 school year for the placement of students for field internships, student teaching, practicum, and observations with the University of Pennsylvania mental health program.
Questions or comments?
Next, I'd like to recommend for discussion under Procedures and Operations, item 2.4, approval regarding the New Jersey Department of Education waiver application NJAC 6A:5 for Golan Preschool to change the family worker ratio to 70:1 rather than the standard 45:1.
Questions or comments?
I would like to recommend for approval procedures under Procedures and Operations, items 2.1 to 2.4.
Do I have a roll call? Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta.
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi. Yes. Mr. Holmes.
Yes.
Mr. Medio.
Yes.
Mr. Sobrana.
Yes.
Mr. Silva.
Yes.
Mr. Ulrich.
Yes.
Mr. English.
Yes.
They pass.
Next, I'd like to recommend for discussion under Buildings and Grounds, item 3.1, approval regarding each of the following facilities' use agreement with the American Red Cross for potential use of these locations for shelter sites for the 2019-2020 school year. Vineland High School North, Tanner Building, Thomas Wallace Middle School.
Questions or comments?
I would like to recommend for approval Buildings and Grounds, items 3.1.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Costa.
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi.
Yes.
Mr. Holmes.
Yes.
Mr. Medio.
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana.
Yes.
Mr. Silva.
Yes.
Mr. Ulrich.
Yes.
Mr. English.
Yes.
That passes.
Next, I'd like to recommend for discussion under Finance, item 4.1, approval of budgetary transfers for general, school-based, and ECBA for May 2019.
Questions or comments?
I would like to recommend for discussion under Finance, item 4.2, approval of the Board Secretary and Treasurer reports for May 2019.
Questions or comments?
Next, I would like to recommend for discussion under Finance, item 4.3, approval to accept the following funding. The fiscal year 2020 Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Education Improvement Act from July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020. Federal funds in the amounts of $100,591. New Jersey Youth Corps RISE Department of Labor and Workforce Development Grant through the Vineland Public Schools in the amount of $54,500.
Questions or comments?
Next, I'd like to recommend for discussion under Finance, item 4.4, approval regarding lease purchasing financing of $937,390.20 from U.S. Bank Corp. Government Leasing and Finance Incorporated at a rate of 2.2104% and a term of 6 years with a final year balloon payment of $275,135.49 to pay for the purchase of 10 54-passenger school buses from Wolfington Body Incorporated. Annual budgeted cost will be $143,116.41.
Questions or comments?
Next, I'd like to recommend for discussion under Finance, item 4.5, approval regarding the New Jersey Schools Insurance Group insurance premiums totaling $2,726,202.
Questions or comments?
Next, I'd like to recommend for discussion under Finance, item 4.6, approval regarding the 2019-2020 final Sodexo addendum with per reimbursable meal management fee of 11 cents a meal, equivalent conversion factor of $2, and a guaranteed of $0.00, which is a break-even amount.
Questions or comments?
Next, I'd like to recommend for discussion under Finance, item 4.7, approval regarding the contract for in-school one-on-one nursing services with Bayada Home Health Care Incorporated in the amount of $49 per hour for registered nurses and $39 per hour for licensed practical nurses from July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020.
Questions or comments?
Next, I'd like to recommend for discussion under Finance, item 4.8, approval regarding the contract for in-school nursing services with Bayada Home Health Care Incorporated in the amount of $49 per hour for registered nurses and $39 per hour for licensed practical nurses from July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020.
Questions or comments?
Next, I'd like to recommend for discussion under Finance, item 4.9, approval regarding services agreement between Preferred Home Health Care and Nursing Services Incorporated and the Vineland Board of Education to provide nursing services for special education students in the amount of $51 per hour for licensed practical nurses and $56 per hour for a registered nurse from July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020 in the form acceptable by the board solicitor and the superintendent.
Questions or comments?
Next, I'd like to recommend for discussion under Finance, item 4.10, approval regarding the staffing professionals services contract between Right Choice for Home Health Care and Vineland Board of Education to provide licensed practical nurses at $39 per hour and registered nurses at $46 per hour on an as-needed basis for special education students in the form acceptable by the board solicitor and the superintendent for July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020.
Questions or comments?
Next, I'd like to recommend for discussion under Finance, item 4.11, approval regarding 54-passenger bus number 137, VIN number CU62810, being donated to the City of Vineland Police Athletic League effective July 11th, 2019. Bus number 137 has reached the end of its school service life and is valued at an estimated $2,000. This donation is in accordance with Board Policy 7300, disposition of property.
Questions or comments?
Next, I'd like to recommend for discussion under Finance, item 4.12, approval regarding the auction of a bus list, which is on file with the Board Secretary to be auctioned on GovDeals.
Questions or comments?
Next, I'd like to recommend for discussion under Finance, item 4.13, approval regarding the following Cumberland County Regional Cooperative Transportation Initiatives: 2018-2019 Transportation Quoted Contracts, 2019-2020 Extended School Year Quoted Contracts, 2019-2020 Regular School Year Renewal Contracts, and 2019-2020 Record and Award of Bid Number 3.
Questions or comments?
I would like to recommend for approval Finance items 4.1 through 4.13.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta.
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi.
Yes.
Mr. Holmes. Mr. Medio.
Abstain on 4.3, number 1, yes to everything else.
Mr.
No, it's
Sobrano.
number 2 it is.
Number 2.
Number 2.
Mr. Sobrano.
Yes.
Mr. Silver.
Yes.
Mr. Ulrich.
Yes.
Mr. English.
Yes, and it appears that we are officially back in the bus business.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Those motions passed.
Thank you. At this time, do we have a motion for the approval of bills that incurred for the month of May 2019?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta.
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi.
Yes.
Mr. Holmes.
Yes.
Mr. Medio.
Yes.
Mr. Sobrano.
Yes.
Mr. Silva.
Yes.
Mr. Ulrich.
Yes.
Mr. English.
Yes.
That passes.
At this time, we have an emergent item that was added to our agenda with prior approval. Do I have a motion accepting the approval regarding a settlement agreement in the matter of DP, KP versus Vineland Board of Education in accordance with the terms set forth in the settlement agreement executed on July 3rd, 2019, and on file with the Board Secretary?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta.
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi.
Yes.
Mr. Holmes.
Yes.
Mr. Medio.
Yes.
Mr. Sobrano.
Yes.
Mr. Silva.
Yes.
Mr. Ulrich.
Yes.
Mr. English.
Yes.
That passes.
At this time, the opportunity for the public to address the board. You have 5 minutes to speak, and please, when you come to the podium, state your name. Thank you.
Those that filled yellow sheets out could just come up one by one. Mr. Dietz filled out a sheet. I believe that should be something that's discussed with the board solicitor or myself after the meeting. If you would choose to come up, that'd be fine. It's a legal matter. Yes. Would you like to discuss your matter with myself and the solicitor after the meeting?
For my kids?
You can discuss it at the podium if you like.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm here for.
We can't raise it,
Oh, I can do that too if you want. You know, it doesn't matter to me. I'm only here to get some answers.
Mr. Dietz, can you handle
Mr. Dietz, matters involving the children in the school district are generally confidential, and as a parent, if you choose to discuss this in public, then that's your choice. We just simply caution parents that it's probably a matter best suited for discussion with administration. That's
Yeah,
what
it's just about the head, you know, and my kids' vacation and sports.
okay.
But
well,
if you want to discuss it in private, we could do that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Hi, Kate Cronk. I'm a CTE teacher at Vineland High School North, and I'm also the head field hockey coach. So I'm coming here this evening to ask the board to reinstate our middle school field hockey program, which was cut during the budget formation for this upcoming year. Our middle school program has been in place for the last 6 years, and it's been bearing fruit, and it's just now really starting to get underway with what we're seeing and how our program's being productive. I was kind of shocked to hear with the overall athletic cuts when our athletic director, Donnie Robbins, informed me that our budget was affected because our program is, the whole total of our program, I was informed, was only $5,800. And that is serving 3 middle schools for $5,800. And I was kind of surprised because we have one coach and all 3 middle schools join at the high school to participate under one Vineland Middle School field hockey team in the Cape Atlantic League. And we are the last program in the school district for these kids. So I'm here on behalf of my girls to ask that you possibly reinstate that, because our season will be upcoming in the month of August, and our girls start in September. But I want to tell you a little bit about what that has done for these kids. Taking it away from the middle school students really, I know it doesn't affect them in the classroom, but it affects them for all the other things that they have in a positive way. The girls come together from 3 schools. They meet girls that they haven't known previously. So it creates a bond. So going into high school, they've already met kids from other schools in our district. Instead of being apart, they already have that bond created starting in 6th grade when they come from all of the elementary schools. And that's a very big thing that we promote throughout our teams. I know that you guys are here to fight for the kids, and so am I. I'm here to let you know that these kids put in countless hours. The program does plant seeds. We've had great strides in our athletes who started in 8th grade even and have come so far to be able to break records. Just 2 years ago, we had someone break 8 school records because they started in the middle school program. Just this year, we have graduates, 3 graduates that are playing at the collegiate level, because of the fact that they were able to join this sport early on in life, and by the time they get to senior year, it's paying dividends for them in the fact that they're getting scholarships and they're getting recognized for their hard work. The other thing is we want to remain competitive. In the Cape Atlantic League, it's one of the hardest leagues, in my eyes, to compete in, because we compete with such big powerhouses like Ocean City and Egg Harbor and more affluent districts than ours, and we are constantly the underdog. So by cutting this program out, it cuts us off at the knees and only introduces this sport to girls at 9th grade. And it's a constant battle for myself as a coach, but also myself as a parent, because I have kids in the district. I have a daughter that plays field hockey and has played it since birth, but I don't have an avenue for her if this program's gone when she gets to middle school in the following year. And that's really detrimental. The other thing I think about is the fact that I already have 25 kids from 2 schools. Only 2 schools signed up. I went to Veterans Memorial and I went to Pilla so far. I did go to Wallace, but I didn't get a chance to speak to the 6th and 7th graders. And I have 25 girls. That's not including any incoming 6th graders. That's just from the current 7th and 8th graders that are going to miss out on this opportunity to play a sport and get involved. So it's giving them a positive outlet, you know, and I think that's definitely something that really needs to be looked at again. I know that the budget is in a big detriment right now, but I do definitely think that I'm hoping that you can, deficit, I should say, yes. I'm hoping you could look for that $5,800 for that program. Good. Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm here to support Christopher Jennings, Vineland, New Jersey. I'm here to support this program. We can't let these kids down. I think this is going to grow, and it's only going to project our kids, make them better, and as she said, down the road they're going to know each other in the 9, 10, 11, 12 building and create bonds that are going to be everlasting. And we're in the collegiate level now, right? I mean, we're going places with this. Don't let them down.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alexis Pineda. I am a 2018 Vineland High School graduate, and I am also a Vineland High School field hockey alumni. I am here today to speak on behalf of the middle school field hockey feeder program. I'll be honest with you, back in 8th grade, I had no idea what field hockey was. And like many people, I was unaware that it was a sport, but I would soon find out that it was, or it is, one of the most challenging sports, both mentally and physically, that I have ever played. I would also come to find out that it would become the love of my life, my heart and soul, and my home. My 8th grade year was the first year of the feeder program. One of my best friends at the time drugged me out to the practices, where I met many of the ladies who are sitting here today, who are here to stand up for this program. At the end of my first practice, I could not wait for the next one, and when our first game had finally arrived, the butterflies in my stomach subsided into sheer determination to play hard and to win, and we did. Perhaps my favorite part of playing for my middle school field hockey team was getting to practice with the high school girls, to get to see what it was like to actually play on a more serious level and to look up to the girls, who I thought at the time were the gold Olympic medalists of all field hockey players. My interest in the sport heightened, and one hot, humid day in July, I stepped on the Vineland High School field hockey field, which is right inside of the track on campus. I nearly died that first day of practice, but I survived, and I got up the next day, bright and early, to endure the wrath of our head coach, Kate Crunk. All jokes aside, Coach Crunk was the #1 reason I decided to continue playing. She works so hard, and she spends so much time on this program. She loves each and every single one of her players and treats them as one of her own daughters. Not only does she coach us, but she feeds us, and she cares about our well-being, even off of the field. When we are on the field, though, she is very serious about the sport and the technique that goes behind it, the conditioning, the stick work, team communication. The foundation of the sport is very difficult to understand and practice, but thanks to Kronk and the other coaches that we've had, we have all of these principles drilled into our heads for the rest of our lives. Not only has this program created great athletes and team players, but it has also created a new generation of student athletes. Thanks to field hockey and my coaches, I was always on top of my schoolwork all throughout high school, allowing me to graduate at the top of my class. This allowed me to get into my dream school with the help of Crunk, who I'm very, very, very grateful for. Have I not said that enough? Not only has the program created student athletes, but it has also created a family. I have never experienced a greater bond than I have with my field hockey sisters. My freshman year, I looked up to the upperclassmen. I played varsity and started as a forward with 3 seniors. I learned from them, and as I moved up each year, what I had learned became what I had taught to the underclassmen, who I felt looked up to me. That meant everything to me, to have younger girls look up to me. Being a role model to both middle school and high school girls gave me the confidence and determination to be the best me that I could be. It propelled me to get out of my comfort zone in high school, something that I'd always wanted to do but never did because I was always scared to do, was run for class officer for my senior year. Thanks to my coaches and the program, and all of the values they and the program had instilled into me, I ran for vice president my senior year. And thanks to them, I ran and I won, and I was vice president of my graduating class. And that is one of my most proudest moments of myself. So as you can see, I've had a long journey with field hockey, but for many young girls who are interested in this program, they have yet to experience this beautiful sport. The middle school program not only gives young girls the chance to experience a sport and get out of their comfort zones, but it also generates better athletes, better students, better team players, better role models, and better leaders. How lucky I am to have experienced this in my lifetime. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Arjorie Ingram, and I'm here to support Kate Homiak in the field hockey program and all girls sports. I was in high school in '74, and that year was a club year for field hockey, also for softball. We were clubs. Basketball was the only varsity, if I'm not mistaken. Because of Title IX, and because of a coach who had fought for us, similar to Kate, Coach Rankin, in '75, we became varsity. We were able to get varsity letters. Now, going back to my first year at field hockey, in 1952, Coach Hanuska coached the basketball team right here at Vineland, this school for high school. And those uniforms that those girls wore, we wore in 1974. Bloomers, 25 years old. So I'm excited to see the progress that women's sports has made. And it hurts me that this program, which she has done such a remarkable job. I've been following it since high school. And I knew when she signed up, I knew that we were going to beat Millville. And I know we can, because she's got the heart, and she's putting a lot of time in. And the unique thing about what she's requesting is that basketball, football, softball, many of the other sports, they have feeder programs. I myself was involved with the Vineland Little League, and I could tell you, without us, softball, the Little League softball program, without the feeder program, softball doesn't go anywhere. We don't get better. Don't take this away from them. Find the money. Find it, because we need to beat Millville.
Thank you.
Lisa Arena, Vineland. I wasn't planning on coming up here, but my daughter Caitlin went through the middle school program and played the field hockey while she was in middle school. It really sparked her interest. She played all 4 years for Coach Kronk over at the high school. Developed a wonderful camaraderie with a group of girls who she's still friends with today. And they play as the Hurricanes at Gaetano's indoor during the wintertime. You'll see all different girls that graduated different years from Vineland High School all come together, and they play indoor field hockey. And they're an awesome team. They work really hard, and all the coaching that Coach Kronk provided, life lessons and skills, was very valuable. And I think to instill that as a middle school student and have them work through high school makes a very well-rounded student who is open to all the different challenges that life throws their way. So it is a really good program. I've seen it as a parent, how it helped my child.
Hi, I'm Sonia Lee Spadillo. I just want to briefly talk about my story with field hockey. So around spring of 6th grade year, I saw a flyer in the girls' locker room. I wasn't a very big athlete and I knew nothing about field hockey. I honestly didn't know it was a thing. For no real reason, I joined. When I went, I had a lot of fun. Until this day, I remember flashbacks of going to clinics and having high school players help and guide me along the way. I continued to play field hockey all throughout middle school because I really fell in love with it. I think my favorite part about game days during middle school was leaving out of class early. In middle school, if you left out of class early, you were like looked at really cool, you know? So for middle school field hockey, you don't just get to meet new girls from your school. You meet many other girls from other middle schools of all grades. On that team, I met girls like Tamira, Lex, and Jay, who are all sitting over there, Maria, who couldn't make it, and Meadow, who is currently in North Carolina with her D2 hockey team, and so many other girls. Before starting field hockey, I believed in high school I was going to do sports like cheerleading and cross country. I thought I was going to do both, but I didn't know that you had to only pick one sport. Sorry. I forgot where I was. Okay. But after the middle school program, I was pretty confident knowing what exact sport I was starting on during my freshman year. That summer, I tried so hard to get onto varsity as a freshman because I also thought that being on varsity would make me look cool. Field hockey formed me into the person I am today. It's not only a sport. It also allowed me to realize other talents that I had, which was sprinting, which guided me to another sport during high school. Fast forwarding to my senior year, I was a 4-year varsity starter for both field hockey and track and field, making many friendships and earning many awards along the way. I will now be attending Misericordia University in the fall, where I will continue to do both field hockey and track and field. The entire point of sharing my story is that the middle school field hockey program created an entire path for so many girls in this room and dozens not here today. It allows girls to learn so many things early on that no other sport or team could do. You may think that a middle school program couldn't possibly be that big of a deal, but this program made a huge impact on my life, giving me many opportunities that I wouldn't have had today without it. I hope that my outcome of this program influences your decision today. It would be much appreciated if you guys could save it and allow it to continue to prosper. Thank you.
I had no intentions of getting up about this. But if you looked at television today, you saw the World Soccer women's team. The women are coming up. Girls are coming up. Let's look at this field team. They can come up. Let's treat our girls like we treat our boys. Let's give them the money.
Hello. I just wanted to hopefully give you reasons to keep the middle school program. First off, I just want to thank you for letting me speak on behalf of my sister who could not make it today. Thanks to the middle school program. She is in North Carolina right now, practicing with her new team. She was also able to learn field hockey at a younger age, which made her more advanced than people who just started in high school. Those 3 years made her understand the game better. So when she got to high school, she didn't have to learn what field hockey is. She just focused on her skills. Having the opportunity to play field hockey in middle school helped her earn an athletic scholarship to Belmont Abbey College, a D2 school, playing the sport that she loves. Without the opportunity playing those extra 3 years, she wouldn't have received a scholarship that's helping her get through college. That's why you should keep the middle school program. Thank you and have a good night.
Alrighty, I'm a parent and I have 2 of my daughters here who are going through the program.
Can you
Again,
state your name?
they were
Can
not
you state your
aware
name,
of what.
please?
I'm Tracy Lopez.
Thank you.
And my daughters are Tamira Lopez and Mariana Lopez. I have a senior and a freshman. So my story is a little unique because I actually played field hockey in high school. And I remember when I actually started late because the middle school that I went through, they didn't have a field hockey program. So when I got there, the coach said, I wish you would have played in middle school because you would have been so much more advanced. So when I saw that there was a clinic, I had my daughters sign up for it. I didn't even think they were going to like it, but I told them to try it. Not only did they try it, but they fell in love with it. My oldest was the lead scorer last year for the field hockey team. She's an honor student. She actually managed marching band and field hockey at the same time and still was able to be at every last event with the support of her coach and the support of the band coach. My baby girl she is becoming a freshman this year. And she started in the 2nd grade at the clinic. And to see her go into a sport that she wasn't sure of, she was an IEP, and she came out of IEP because she built up her confidence from field hockey, a sport that she actually wanted to quit because she didn't think she could do it as well as her sister. But she also was actually one of the lead scorers for the middle school. So to see them, I was actually running from game to game. There was times that they had games. One was on the Gitone Stadium, one was at the high school, and I would watch one play the first quarter, and then I would run over here and see the other one play the second half. So as a parent, I thought it was very beneficial. My daughters loved it. I supported them wholeheartedly, but to see them just to grow in the sport that I love and to see them actually do the same sport, it was amazing to me. And actually, as one of the other speakers has spoke, Sonia, my daughter did not know she was going to be a track star. I ran track. And because of field hockey, she was actually running around the track. And Mr. Boykins saw her run around the track doing the lap and said, you should put her in track because of her stride. And she's actually the star, like one of the stars of the track team. She's been varsity all 4 years, field hockey and track, and she's actually up for academic and athletic scholarships this year as a senior. So this program is very well needed for our middle schoolers because it's really enhancing them academically as well as athletically. And as you can hear, many of our students who have played before, they're getting scholarships to do well in life. So we really hope that you would reconsider and bring this program back to our young girls. Just like a previous speaker said, women are stepping up and they are rising up. So as an educator, because I work for the Millville School District, and I see how Millville works with their students. I actually work at Lakeside Middle School, and because of the coaching and because they actually have a middle school program that these kids start in the 6th grade, and because they actually get to play, this is what's making them stronger. So to pull this away from them will actually make the program weaker. So we want to stay strong, and again, we want to be, I work for Millville, but we still want to beat Millville because my students, my kids are violent students. All right, thank you.
Hi, I'm Tamira. That was my mom. Okay, I want to speak on behalf of field hockey, but I'm an incoming senior and I currently play for Vineland field hockey. I've been playing since I was in 5th grade because I learned about the clinics they had there. And after the clinic, I found out they had made like a middle school field hockey team, and I wanted to join right away because I loved it so much from the clinics. From there, it was a new thing, so like I met new friends, like my friend Jalen. She's like one of my closest best friends, and I told her to come out, and from that day we were just like unstoppable on the field. Like we're like the dynamic duo. Joining the team, like I said, my new friends and everything, but I played all through middle school, and I most definitely don't regret it. Every year the program was getting bigger and bigger because of my friends, and I had told more and more girls to come out because field hockey doesn't get that much recognition or appreciation or exposure like the other sports. So we just wanted to like, you know, step it up. I'm sorry. Like the other sports, though, we have teamwork and we work on team bonding and sportsmanship. It helped so much in preparing me for high school because I became varsity my freshman year, and it helped so much preparing for high school, teaching us how to play the game, the rules, and all the skills. So it wasn't hard for my coach to teach me how to do special skills and everything, and to just kind of like show off on the field and break people's ankles while we're on there. And yeah, one of my favorite memories though from middle school is my 8th grade year, and we actually beat Millville 5-3, and I scored 3 goals on the team. And like that was the most like, I don't know, the most joyous moments we had shared together, and it was just like one of our proudest moments. So yeah, I hope this gives you reasons why we should keep the middle school team, because it just helps you get ready for high school, and it creates a higher, like when you get to the higher competitive high school level, it just isn't a struggle for you as it is for someone that's starting their freshman year. So keep field hockey middle school.
there anyone else that wants to address the board this evening?
Hello, my name is Genesis Vasquez, and I would like to speak on behalf of field hockey. I would like to begin by saying that field hockey for me was life-changing. It gave me the opportunity to meet amazing and loving people who I call my teammates. These teammates helped me fight in and out the field, and with help with Coach Crunk, over there, help with Coach Crunk, I was able to stay focused in school and also stay fit and healthy. Even though I didn't play for the middle school team, I would have loved to, because it would have opened a lot of doors and it would have improved my skills. I went to Rossi and field hockey wasn't really known. And the second they gave me a paper field hockey, my teacher was just like, oh, let's just throw that away. We don't really need that. But I really wish she didn't throw that away, because it really would have made me a better player and a really better person. High school is a really scary and it's filled with lots of people, and it's kind of hard for a freshman to fit in and get along with groups. But field hockey changed that. Yeah, I wasn't the best player, but it still helped me make friends. It helped me become real open with people, because I'm very shy. Well, I used to be, not now. But yeah, it really did help me out. And throughout my high school years, I just kept meeting new people, even from Millville. Yeah, I don't like them, but I still was friends with them, and they taught me how to do a lot of stuff. And while we traveled to different schools, I was also able to meet new people that would say hi to me while I'm like in a tough spot. Someone would just be running up to me saying, hi, I know you're from field hockey. And I'd be like, hey. And that would just like improve my mood. I would be so happy. If it wasn't for field hockey, I wouldn't be the person I am today. Thank God for field hockey. Please keep the middle school team running. Thank you.
Is there anyone else this evening? Seeing none, do we have any old or new business from any board members this evening?
Are we not going to talk about field hockey?
We can discuss that under old or new business, if you would like.
How much does it cost to reinstate it, Mr. Merkley?
It was an athletic director cut, and it was not the only middle school sports program cut. If you restore one, start thinking about restoring all of them. It's about $8,000. She said $4,800, but my number's about $8,000. We just today got an email about restoring tennis.
Is there a potential for volunteers at the coaching position?
I don't have that information, but I'm sure we can ascertain that.
When is our next finance meeting?
We don't currently have one set, but we can set one next couple weeks.
Maybe we invite Mr. Robbins to the meeting and have a little athletic budget discussion.
Sounds good.
Sorry, can I ask, does anyone know when field hockey practice starts? Is that like in the summer, the middle school?
We really can't exchange with dialogue back and forth with anyone here, but
August 19th is my understanding. Thank you, Mr. Ohms. So I would just request that the Finance Committee meet prior to the start of practice. If we can find the funds, we should explore different options. We really need to take a look at it. So,
as we see, Ms. Crunk comes up and she's fighting for a program and the student athletes as well. And I don't think any board member up here wants to cut any type of these programs. As Mr. Merkley says, you start the domino effect. And when you start the domino effect, you will have everyone come up here. I wasn't on the board last year when the decision with the winter track was a discussion. Back in the day when I went to school, we had stone cold volunteers that volunteered their time, as Mr. Fiocchi was alluding to. I also understand there's busing issues and everything like that. Yes, we want to stay competitive. Yes, we want to beat Millville. Yes, we want, unfortunately in life, you know, it's all about winning. It's not all about winning, but the lesson I'm seeing tonight is you got a bunch of young ladies and a coach that are fighting for something they truly believe in, and we know we're already staring at that $8 million gap, and I think the discussion we'll look to have is where we are athletic budget-wise, but also, again, district-wise with some things that have been added recently that maybe aren't needed, things like that. I know my fellow board members up here are pretty frustrated of the echoes that we're hearing from this sound system that cost an upwards of $60,000, $70,000, possibly $80,000, and it gets very frustrating when we hear in the public about things like this, and then we're cutting in $8,000, $10,000, $5,000. I don't know, you know, it's not about the cost right now. It's about starting to maybe focus on these little things, because maybe there's that one big cut that is $150,000 that can restore a lot of these things that our students do take advantage of. So it'll be some discussion we definitely will throw around there, and unfortunately we cannot, as we said, we hear everyone speak, but we cannot exchange back and forth with the dialogue. But I believe the message has been sent and heard. So, you know, we also we have a new BA here that's staring at that $8 million number, and he did let each one of us know as board members that he's going to be recommending some cuts. This one didn't come from him, but that we're not going to be fans of, but he's the numbers guy, and at the end of the day, he's got to balance the checkbook. So his question is, where do you stop? And when you open that door, sometimes you have to close it. So I believe as a board, as a committee, we can have this discussion, and we'll see where it goes from there. Do we have anything else over there on this subject to the left? Do we have anything else under old or new business? I just want to address something real quick. A couple weeks back, an article went out in the newspaper concerning the board president, myself, revisiting, and I use that word revisit, class rank / valedictorian, salutatorian discussion. I've had some good discussion with Mr. Fry here concerning how the process went last year, and I do strongly believe in the committee structure, so I would like to have this added to our agenda item. I do understand it's not just like snapping the fingers. I also do understand that I've had some interesting discussion with my fellow board members and members of the public, and it started by an article that Ms. Marco sent out there with the last valedictorian and salutatorian for the Vineland Public School District, and after sitting through graduation and hearing them speeches, I happened to ask myself why and how, and I did try and go through the minutes, but I wasn't too successful on that. So Mr. Fry filled me in a little bit, but I still have some questions concerning that, because I still remember my valedictorian and salutatorian. God knows I wasn't close to that, but those two individuals really set the standard, and they are, as we say, not athletes, but they were our mathletes. And till this day, the respect I have for them, having children of my own, to see, it means something to those kids to be number 1 and 2, 10 and 15, 20 and 25. So I'm not quite sure where we currently stand, how it would affect the district, but the word I used was revisit, and by no means did I want to compromise the board. When Ms. Marco asked me a direct question, I know when to say no comment and when to answer a question, and as anything, I believe in consistency in making things best for all students. So just something that I wanted to revisit, and I apologize to any board member if you got blindsided. I know when we had spoke that evening, Ms. Marco and I didn't know that her fingers were going to be working that quick, and the article would be out.
Blindsided.
You know, so, and I did send an email out, but, you know, the email simultaneously. But with that being said, it's just something that I would like to have a little discussion on and understand exactly how this benefits our top 10% of our students. So if that's something we can add to our agenda, I would definitely, I would like that added. Does anyone else have anything under old or new business? Okay, at this time, do we have any board member remarks? I'll start with to my left with Mr. Medio.
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Sabrana.
I hope our employees and students are enjoying the summer vacation. It's safe and happy time. I know people in admin have been working very, very hard. It always seems like summers get shorter and shorter and more work to do. And it looks like we'll be back in the classrooms in less than 60 days. So enjoy the remaining time.
Thank you, Mr. Sabrana. Mr. Silva.
No comments.
Mr. Fiocchi.
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Holmes.
No comment.
Ms. Acosta.
Just want to wish everyone a good summer, and I just want to wish those employees who are retiring or leaving our school district the very best of luck and much success in their future endeavors. Thank you.
Mr. Ulrich.
I should say no comment. I never do that. They have the program come up, and I've been on the board a very long time, so whatever the program may be, there's always the support of the staff that comes up, the students that are affected, and so forth. And I think that in one breath we say, well, that was the athletic director's recommendation, the superintendent's recommendation, and the board's real main job is to affirm those day-to-day decisions. But in the next breath, we take a decision that was made, that went through exhaustive committee action last year about the salutatorian and valedictorian, and moving away from that. Now we're going to second-guess that decision, possibly reverse course, and I think we have to pick and choose when we're going to micromanage and when we're not going to micromanage. And it presents a dilemma, and every one of the students, I congratulate them for coming forward, speaking their minds. Every cut, we didn't suggest that. Do I like the fact that probably 15 basic skills teachers were cut from our elementary schools? I absolutely hate the fact, because that affects our day-to-day classroom instruction. Our main focus of the district is to educate our students, to supply the needs that we have to individuals that are sliding behind a little bit, that could need that upper hand. So my focus is always going to be the classroom teacher, that classroom aide. Sports is a secondary thing. I played sports my entire life. I played at Vineland High School. I played when that grass field was a grass field that was in great shape. I love sports, but at some point in time, it could be next year where middle school sports programs are not even on the table anymore. They could be gone. So, you know, it's not like to come to me to ask me to override what the superintendent recommended and what the athletic director, then my next question to the athletic director would be, if they were to come to the committee, would be, all right, what's your next cut then? Your budget is XYZ. And we have to live with the fact that we're increasing taxes and we're not, our funding isn't increasing. You know, if you count, I don't know, this year, $7,000, we got increase from the state, something along those lines. So something has to give. We gave out collective bargaining agreements tonight to our administrative staff, to our UAW folks. We've settled contracts for the teachers. Something's got to give, and I just want to let everybody know that I will continue, and for all the teachers out there and our paraprofessionals in the classroom, that's where my support lies, and that's where I will lobby to make sure that we get more basic skills teachers, that we have more aides that can assist and help out in our school district. So that's about all I have. I really thank the girls and the staff. There's no doubt you're doing a wonderful job, Coach. I mean, it's evident. You know, if something changes, I think, you know, to lobby Donnie Robbins, to lobby the people that are making those choices would be more effective, in my mind. But thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arch. Mr. Fry, do you have anything sitting in the seat tonight?
Only that it was my pleasure to assist during Dr. Gruccio's absence, and thank you.
All right, you did a nice job. This evening, just keeping it real quick, I can always agree to disagree with Mr. Arch. Him and I were a great team here, and I understand exactly what he's saying. The word micromanage, I really find that word interesting, because when it's a great idea, you're not micromanaging. But when it's something that's not liked, all of a sudden, here comes that word. So, you know, I think each board member up here is, I would hope that they are classroom-based first, extracurricular activities second. I totally understand why Ms. Crunk came here this evening. She believes in her program, and she wants it to be the best. So I thank you and your players, parents, and ex-players for coming and speaking. Mr. Dietz, just real quick, the Vineland Public School District is very professional, and if indeed, when they talk to you this evening and you do not like something that you hear, that is the time to come and address the board once you went through all those chain of commands. So tonight, after the meeting, Mr. Fry, Mr. Merkley, Mr. DeSanto will be here to discuss that with you, okay? So I didn't want you to think that we shut the door on you. No, totally understand that. No, I don't like to turn people away from the microphone.
That part of the meeting is closed, Scott.
Yes, that part of the meeting is closed, and we can't exchange dialogue back and forth. Thank you. At this time, do we have an adjournment, a motion for adjournment, please?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and have a good night.